GamerCast Network.
Hey. All right. It's a video game show. It's a video game show. It's not a game show about videos. It's a video game show.
Welcome to the GamerCast Network video game show for Friday, May 4th, 2007. This is episode number 36, or 6 squared.
I noticed how there was a pause for about 5 seconds as we all tried to calculate it in our heads.
Yeah, you're seriously testing my bad math skills.
I'm Chad. This week for the roll call, when I say your name, tell me the game world you would most want to live in. And joining me this evening is Phil.
Hi there. I would say Town of Raccoon from the original Resident Evil.
Why would you?
Why do you want to have
fun.
to fight zombies all day long?
I just remember when I first played that game, I remembered it very vividly, and I had dreams about that game.
Fighting zombies is cool. Fighting zombies.
It's, I guess, but yeah.
Next up is Keith.
Never played it, but from the sounds of it, I want to live in Sex Station 7 world.
And Ivan.
The easy answer is probably Second Life, since apparently it's just an entire universe of sex and stuff. But God of War sounds cool, since you get to, 2 chicks for every 1 guy. Wouldn't mind that.
What you guys pick like these violent worlds? I want to be trapped on a PlayStation with a bunch of nymphomaniacs. I mean,
Well, I was going to actually, just because of my love of everything Asian, I was going to say Shenmue, and I'll stick with Shenmue.
okay, that's violent only to some people. The zombie one, that just scares me, man.
Actually, I want to take my answer back. I'm thinking the world of Dead or Alive.
That would be a much better world.
Yeah, chicks on jet skis and volleyball.
I thought long and hard about that. Long and hard.
Boy.
And in GamerCast Network community news, be sure to check out Gamertag Radio episode number 98, where they bring you coverage of the Street Trace NYC community event from Gaia Industries. Also, check out Uncle Gamer Radio episode number 28, where they cover the week's news from Ken Kutaragi's quote-unquote retirement to cross-cultural Pokemon trading. Finally, go check out Podtacular episode number 111, where they talk about the leaked Halo 3 videos.
Next topic.
So, gentlemen, what are we playing?
Wow, all kinds of cool stuff.
Listen to that.
Starting from maybe last week, I was playing Rainbow Six Vegas, and of course I've been playing Puzzle Quest. I finally finished the storyline in Puzzle Quest. I'm a level 48 knight who didn't have a difficult time beating Lord Bane at all. But then the new stuff, I've been playing Catan for the past 3 days, which is super fun. It's very faithful to the board game. The only other thing I've been playing, I just picked it up today, Spider-Man 3 video game. I've only put in about maybe half an hour. It's a lot like Spider-Man 2. You do missions, or you can just swing around the city and beat up bad guys.
There were some complaints of Spider-Man 2 in terms of the mission variety.
I think it was kind of like the same complaint we had with City of Heroes, which was every mission was find this guy and beat him up. Same thing with Crackdown. All the missions were the same. It was find a guy and beat him up or beat all his cronies up, or both. I think that was the complaint with Spider-Man 2.
But you probably haven't put enough time into 3
right,
so far.
I haven't put enough time. I've played a couple of the main missions. There's 4 mission lines. You can either follow the movie plot, or you can do a couple of the side missions.
Keith, what are you up to?
My Xbox broke. I got that nice little red ring. Mr. Picaro, thank you again for telling me it was safe to buy an Xbox. Glad it lasted me. I'm not even sure if it lasted a full year. But, hey. So my computer still needs a couple parts to finish putting that together. And I don't have a job, so I don't have the spare money to go get either fixed. Go Team Keith. But I have been playing Madden's Puzzle Quest. And I picked up The Warriors and started playing that again on the PlayStation 2. It's one of my favorite movies. I have a big Warriors poster. I mean, ever since I was a little kid, I really liked that movie. It's pretty much Grand Theft Auto, but you're a gang person. I'll mug someone, and then I'll give all the money to the bum that was just sitting there, and then I'll run away.
Phil, you still wowing your life away?
Yeah, I still am for the most part. Haven't played too much this past week with my mom being in the hospital for her back surgery. So, but within the last month, mostly World of Warcraft, some puzzle questing.
Well, all I've been playing is there was an action RPG which came out October, November of last year called Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. It's a first-person action RPG, lots of melee combat and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I saw that one. How was it?
Installed it on Sunday, played for about 3 hours on Sunday, played for about an hour the last 3 nights, and I'm done with it right now.
Oh.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of things.
That's no fun.
That sucks.
Well, the thing is, they want you to, they have all this great stuff. You can be archery, you can have spells and all this kind of stuff. I just, got a sword, pumped up my armor and strength, and just started whacking things.
And let me guess, it's one of those fine games where once you beat it, there's no point or it's impossible to continue playing.
No, there's really no point. I mean, I could turn the difficulty level up. Oh, and here's a suggestion to all game developers. When you have multiple difficulty levels, please tell me what choosing different ones do. It had normal, hard, and hardcore. I'm kind of hardcore. Game looks great, looks fantastic. It runs off of the Half-Life 2 engine, but there's just no meat there. And the whole story's kind of dumb, too. I'm glad I only spent $9 on it. It was clearance at Target.
Oh, so for $9, you probably did get your money's worth out of it.
I was going to buy it at launch for $40 or $50.
You would have been angry if you did that.
Next topic.
I understand Catan's a very complicated game in some regards, but can you have a high-level view of how it plays?
It's one of those games that's easy to learn, but the difficulty comes in the strategy, just like most advanced board games that isn't like Chutes and Ladders. Kind of the point is all essentially resource management, and combining those resources allow you to build things like settlements or cities. You have a grid made up of, 20, 30 hexes, and each hex represents a different resource, and each hex has a number on it. So you roll the dice, and anybody who's got a settlement on one of the hexes matching that number gets a resource card. Okay. Goal of the game is to get 10 points. So you get, 1 point for every settlement, 2 points for every city. You get points for certain achievement kind of things, like if you have the longest road. The big part of the game comes in is every round you're allowed to trade resource cards with other players. So if I have 10 sheep and I need some ore, I can trade Keith 1, 2, 3, or however many cards I want for 1, 2, or however many cards he has.
So you're hoarding your sheep there, huh? Okay.
Yeah, I love the sheep.
Even when we played, we'd form alliances. Say, right. Resource, because you can convert any resource to another thing for a 4-to-1 ratio, so you can turn in 4 sheep for some brick. You can find ports that let you turn in 3-to-1 or 2-to-1, and then you start forming alliances. So if Ivan the Sheep Lord has the sheep port, and I am the wheat guy, then we may set up an agreement where I'll turn his stuff to wheat for him for cheap, and he'll make me sheep for cheap. The whole game is wheeling and dealing, like Ivan said.
Big thing here is, how does it play on the...
To me, it plays exactly like the board game does. There's really not a whole lot of difference. AI is pretty smart. They win a lot. There's a couple stupid things. One of the things that you're always going to do is, so you need 10 points to win. If a guy has 8 or 9 points, you're obviously not going to trade with him. You're going to pretty much, ignore him completely because you don't want him to get the resources to get that last point or two. The past couple games I've played, I've gotten up to 8 points and people will stop trading with me.
Yeah, but that's how it is when we played too.
Right, it is. But what happens in the Xbox Live version is somebody else will eventually get up to 8 or 9 points. And not only do they continue to stop trading with you, they'll still trade with that person. So it's almost like the first person to get to 8 or 9 points, everybody ignores whether or not anyone else gets up to the same number.
Here's a question. How long does a typical game, time-wise?
The board game typically lasts at least 2 hours, 3 hours. The online version will last at least an hour.
Now, having played a game like this on Xbox Live, would you like to see other, strategy games of this nature?
Absolutely. It would be great. Actually, one of the things I'd thought of, one of the other games that Chris bought kind of on a whim and wound up being really cool, I think it was called Mall of Horrors.
Mall of Horrors.
Yeah, it's a board game, but it's like a zombie survival type game.
The game we can only play once.
Right. Yeah. That's another one of those games that you form alliances and you piss people off a lot. I think that would translate well into a Xbox Live game.
That would translate very well, and the game would probably go very quickly.
Next topic.
The first band for Guitar Heroes 3 has been announced.
Yeah, with Thralls of Meh.
Yeah, it's Queens of the Stone Age is the band. They did have a song in Guitar Hero 1.
Yeah.
Queens of the Stone Age?
Yeah, the No One Knows song.
Oh,
It's an okay song.
yeah, that's
but
not a bad song.
they're just one of those bands where, because I've heard the album, they have their 2 good songs.
But Queens of the Stone Age, I can't really see being a group of guitar heroes.
They're not going for Guitar Hero. They're going for Flavor of the Month Hero.
Honestly, if they're going to have this downloadable content, why not put the flavor of the month in downloadable content?
Exactly, and put the Guitar Heroes on the game.
I mean, I just listened to a quick sample on Amazon, and that song just has a couple little riffs here and there, and it's like, okay, what's so guitar-y about this song?
I guess they're getting a lot of hype now because I think they're actually adding some songs to the new Madden.
You know what? I want to throw this out here. So if there's any, EA people that are working on Maddens, stop putting the music that you're putting in the game. Put the old NFL music in the game.
EA has done that for the longest time.
I know, but their
EA
music they pick sucks
I know.
bad.
It's part of their income is to whore themselves out to popular bands to put their songs in the game.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I rented, what was it? I probably rented 2K6 or 2K5, and a Madden 2K6 or 2K5. They were just like flavors of the month bands.
Exactly. They're not even like it's a lasting song. It's just whatever band happens to be considered pop.
Well, luckily they release a new game for every one of their franchises every 8 months. So if you're the kind of person to buy the newest one every time, you're never going to get sick of the songs.
Oh, good old EA.
Next topic.
The retro games galore coming to all of the virtual consoles out there. Here on the Xbox Live Arcade, we're going to be getting Tron, Discs of Tron, Asteroids, Missile Command, Tempest, Double Dragon. With the PlayStation 3, we mentioned a couple episodes ago, they're getting Mortal Kombat 2, Joust, Gauntlet 2. The Wii is getting Virtual Fighter 2, Alex Kidd, Wonder Boy. Is this getting a little ridiculous?
Next-gen gaming with
That's what I
all
was
your
thinking.
old titles that you got sick of back then.
All your favorite 25-year-old titles.
I mean, it's got, like you said, it's gotten ridiculous. Why would I want to spend any amount of money more than like 50 cents on Asteroids?
Maybe a better model for this, maybe they actually have like a subscription fee, like you pay so many dollars per month to have access to the Game Tap, but put that on the arcade or put that on all these other services for the retro titles only, not the new stuff.
Now, the only thing I can say about that is I was just about to say that's a good idea, but then I realized I was tearing Game Tap apart how long ago. If we were knocking Game Tap for doing it, why shouldn't we knock Xbox for doing it? You know what I'm saying? The games are so old. Honestly, you may have a nostalgia value of like 15, 20 minutes, and then you're just going to be like, wow, I just wasted it.
Right. But, and that's what the demos are for, though. Every one of those games that have come out, I download the demo, I play, I'm like, I remember this game, and I remember why I don't miss this game. The problem I have is, like, towards the beginning of the year, when, like, the first month of 2007 was all retro titles, and nothing new. That kind of bugged me because I wanted some new games and I didn't want the retro ones. I like what they're doing now where they release a brand new game like Catan and at the same time a retro game like Millipede or Centipede.
These games are so simplistic, and I'm assuming they can be ported to damn near anything. They could probably just pound these titles out like they're nothing.
Yeah, I'm sure. Probably for the Wii and the PlayStation 3, that's probably trivial. For the Xbox, since they actually do add achievements to some of these games, and they do change the game, like the Street Fighter one, they put in the two-player stuff over the network.
See, that was another prime example where I bought Street Fighter, was like, sweet! And then you could play over the internet, but it's still just,
I think Sony could do a lot better and make a lot more money if they started releasing PlayStation 1 games. There's tons of games that are still really good that they could make money on that aren't rehashes or retros. The first Twisted Metal was actually pretty fun, as opposed to releasing like Joust. At least with the Xbox 360, there is something added like achievements. If you are a PlayStation 3 owner and Joust is available to you, are you really going to buy it?
Obviously, they figure someone's going to buy it or they wouldn't be doing it.
I'm sure the return on investment for Joust is probably, even if 10 people buy it, they probably make money, which is probably why they do it. But again, I'm not a big retro guy.
Next topic.
Apparently there was a World of Warcraft player from Mexico named Bronco Carson.
Okay.
Well, 3 men broke into his home and beat him with clubs.
Ouch.
And smashed his computer. They broke 2 of his fingers and fractured his wrist.
Ow.
So why did they beat him? Well, apparently Carson was harassing the wife of one of the assailants in World of Warcraft. He was making it hard for her to progress in the game.
He was griefing.
Yes, he was griefing. So the woman threatened him, to which he responded, if her husband was man enough, he would just come meet me and settle this. And Carson, being, I guess, I'm not going to say very intelligent man he is, actually gave her his address. Her husband went and got his buddies and beat him. If you're going to grief, do not give out your address.
Yeah. Wow.
You know what? But I actually did something like this.
Oh, God.
It was for Diablo 2. Todd and I were playing, and we were just running around, and there was this dude that just kept following us around, and he was like level 99, and our guys were like level 40 or something, and he would just follow us around and was killing us. Like a couple weeks later, we were at a party. It was over the summer, around 4th of July, and we were at a party, and we were sitting there talking. The one dude saying he was playing Diablo, and, you know, Todd and I were standing there, and we were like, oh, you know, we play that all the time, and we play on the East server, and he told us, and he's like, yeah, I play, you know, you should give me a tell, my name is this. And he said the name, and Todd and I just looked at each other. And I just hauled back and blasted the dude right in the chest. And he just collapsed on the floor, gasping for air. And I leaned down, I was just like, yeah, I was Gorefist, you know, and he's Valdir. And we were the guys that you were with the other week. So, you know, it was like, just remember that while your character may be more powerful in the game, I'm more powerful in real life. And he ended up leaving the party because he was holding his chest crying, and it was just very funny. And that's what this makes me think of. And that guy deserved the beating that he got because that was just funny.
So, do you deserve any beatings for any of the griefing you've done in City of Heroes?
Yeah, but I welcome people to try.
Okay, just checking.
That's the difference. You know what? If someone does show up at my door and beats the shit out of me, kudos to you because you're a bad...
Next topic.
Blizzard has entered in with an agreement with the First National Bank of Omaha to have a World of Warcraft Visa card.
Oh, dear.
The thing is, when first time you use the Visa card, you get a free month of World of Warcraft, and then for every dollar you spend, 1% of that is applied towards your World of Warcraft account. So if you spend $1,500, you get a free month of World of Warcraft.
I think that's a good idea because it's tapping into a new market. I mean, it's good that banks are starting to do that, and I think it's cool that that a bank is tapping the gaming market. Like maybe something will happen. They'll have an Xbox Live Arcade credit card where you can gain Microsoft points, or they'll have a Sony card or a Nintendo card.
For the longest time, I had an American Express card, which gave you customer points, kind of like Best Buy Rewards, where every dollar you spent, you got a point. But it was stupid. It was like something like 25,000 points got you a squishy ball, which meant you had to spend $25,000 to get a squishy ball. It was ridiculous.
It was like Chuck E. Cheese tickets.
Exactly. I would certainly love to get a credit card that got me points for something, even if it was a lot of points before you actually got anything useful. If it was for something like video games, like for World of Warcraft or for Xbox Live, something like that, I would certainly do that.
And again, I'm sure that people will argue that someone's addicted and now it's gonna further spread their addiction or something like that. But again, I just don't feel sympathy for people like that because you're just a fool.
Next topic.
Last week, the Lord of the Rings massive multiplayer game launched. There were midnight openings. I don't know exact numbers. People playing it feel that it's basically World of Warcraft set in the Lord of the Rings universe.
For a lot of people, that could be a good thing. There's a lot of nutty people out there who are diehard Middle-earth fans. Yeah, so
I'm sure the same thing would happen if they did a Star Trek MMO. And
they are doing a Star Trek MMO.
Okay.
Yeah, but see, the difference is Star Trek sucks.
It's not that bad. Come on.
I like Picard.
I'm kidding. Actually, I'm not. I don't like it at all. But
Lord of the Rings has been around for a long, long time. There's a lot of lore to it. There's a lot of people that will just want... The same thing's going to happen when Warhammer comes out. Just because Warhammer is huge, well, not necessarily huge in the US, but I know everywhere else in the world is huge. As long as the game is pretty much World of Warcraft set in a different setting, there are going to be people that are just going to be like, well, yeah, I'm going to switch because I love the Tolkien setting, or I'm going to switch because I love the Warhammer world or the Star Trek world or whatever it is. I mean, as long as the gameplay is solid.
I was going to say the gameplay is the big thing. And you know what? World of Warcraft actually isn't the first game of its kind either. I mean, when we played Final Fantasy XI, most of the components of World of Warcraft were in Final Fantasy.
They just tweaked it.
Right. I mean, obviously it was a better game. It's doing much better, but it's that whole universe that people liked apparently liked better than the Final Fantasy universe.
Being a guy that's played a lot of MMOs, what World of Warcraft did, in my opinion, that set them apart from everybody else, is they took away a lot of the necessary grind. And they also took away the absolute need for a particular class. Because you remember in Final Fantasy, if you didn't have a white mage, you couldn't even do anything. They still have the grind, but none of the grind is mandatory. But yeah, the premise of it all has already been done. It's just they refined it.
Which is kind of unfortunate because any game like Lord of the Rings that comes out, they're going to compare it to World of Warcraft. So Lord of the Rings is World of Warcraft in Middle-earth. Kind of, but really it's just a MMO in Middle-earth.
And any hack and slash is compared to Diablo, and any strategy board game is compared to like Axis and Allies or I mean, that's just the way it is. Any new superhero that comes out, if a guy regenerates, it's Wolverine. I mean, you know what I mean? That's just the way it is.
Next topic.
Let's touch on a touching game we touched on a while back.
A touching game we touched on.
Yes. SNK's new Nintendo DS game called Doki Doki Majo Shinpan, which is a witching touching game. You are commanded by an angel.
You're commanded by an angel to touch the little girls in inappropriate places.
Yes, you are. You have to go to what the Japanese equivalent of junior high school girls and touch them in various ways to find out if they are witches or humans.
I think someone has already tried to use that in court and it failed.
Yeah, they were on the...
An angel told me to touch. I got to find out if she's a witch or not. So, I mean, you know.
Here's the big thing. On Amazon's Japanese site, that is the #1 pre-ordered game.
Why am I not surprised?
It is beating out Final Fantasy Tactics, the release for the PSP coming out. It is beating out Zelda for the Nintendo DS, the Phantom Hourglass game.
This from the country where you can buy soiled panties from a vending machine.
Yes, you got to take that into consideration as well.
I gotta say, Asians are just some weird folk.
Weird, horny folk.
Everyone's either A, a schoolgirl, B, a maid, C, a cat person, or D, some combination of a school-going maid cat person. And they're usually scantily clad with ridiculously large breasts and somehow always end up getting naked. I want to change my vote to my fantasy world. I just want to move to Japan.
Hey, I chose Shenmue, which is Japan.
But I mean, they have a thing with like young girls. It's like, okay, I have to touch the young high school girl in her little pleated dress to see if she's a witch. You know why these games can't make it here is because people flipped over hot coffee. Now imagine you have a game where you're touching young girls in inappropriate places.
Next topic.
So in Fort Bend, Texas, a Asian student made a map of his school for Counter-Strike, and he uploaded it to server to play. However, when parents found out about it after the recent Virginia Tech shootings, they were not very pleased, and he basically was removed from the school, placed in an alternative school. However, later, the police searched his home and then found in his home an evil hammer. Ooh. And at that point, labeled him terrorist and arrested him.
Oh no. What about that screwdriver? Oh, go, he has a rake. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, he has tools for fixing things. He must be a terrorist.
What? It's a hammer, for Christ's sakes. I would be surprised if there are people that don't own a hammer.
The first thing I thought of when I heard this story was Bob told us that he created a map based on his dorm. So you're telling me that, you know what, Bob's a terrorist.
Yes, he is.
Well, hang on here. I mean, now do I think it was right that the guy got arrested and, kicked out of school and this, that, and the other thing? No. But I can understand why that's not good. Bob's thing was just for his own personal use. If you're putting it out there on something for people to play, you could have some whack job realistically find that and have a whole layout and plan for the school. Granted, now if you really wanted to, you could just go down to the public office.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm sure if you're asking for the blueprints of a high school, people are going to be like...
Yeah, you're probably being flagged.
What's the difference, though, between using, a school map where you could potentially have students held captive and the object of that map is for the counter-terrorists to rescue the students?
The map is an actual high school. It's a real-life location where real students' lives could be put in risk. And let's face it, the acts of violence in these schools has been increasing. So I can understand why they weren't too keen with this, but like everything else that most things are, they just took it too far.
If this happened a month or two before the shootings, this wouldn't have been a big deal.
Yeah, he would have been taken down. The kid probably would have got a 3-day suspension. But now he's a terrorist because he had a hammer.
Yeah, he didn't have a Glock in his room. He had a hammer.
I've got swords and axes and knives because I collect them. So am I now a terrorist if I made
Yes, you are.
Northfield Heights High School?
Get off the show, terrorist. It's a modern-day witch hunt. Something tragic happened at the college where 30 people were killed, and yes, it was horrible, but they're trying to say, well, this happened, we don't want it to happen again. So some kid made a map of their school and put it in a game and put it on the internet for people to play, and now we want to make sure that this kind of thing doesn't happen again. Oh, and look, we found a hammer in his room, so this kid has obviously got some issues. Well, just because one person is a total a-hole and kills 30 people doesn't mean that somebody else who has done something similar is got the same objective.
Next topic.
Do you guys feel that going to sites like GameFAQs and those kind of things are cheating your experience in playing a game?
Absolutely not.
No, I
I
don't.
would say no also.
There was an article on, I think it was Wired, where a guy was playing Final Fantasy XII. He couldn't beat one of the bosses, Tiamat. And he went on to GameFAQs and found out the strategy for beating him. And then one of his buddies said, "Hey, that's cheating."
Technically, yes, it's cheating. But do you want to get to that point where you can't get past it, take the game, put it on a shelf, and never play it again because you know you can't get past it? Or would you like to look at a FAQ and figure out how to beat them so that you can move on and continue playing the game?
But also, the guy that says it's cheating, he doesn't have to go look. You're seeking it out. It's their choice if they want to do that.
Do you guys often go to GameFAQs to look up things for games?
All the time.
If I hit a point and I get frustrated, yes, I do. If I don't know what I'm doing and I just can't figure it out, and I've tried it, 5 or 6 times, and I'm still just like, yeah, I'll go look. To me, it's more, I'd rather just know what to do it, and move on.
It's one thing if you're doing it for like X amount of time and you've tried so many different things. It's another thing if you're just like, well, I don't have time to sit here and try to figure it out myself, or I'm
But that's even the person's choice.
The same time you buy the game, you buy the strategy guide, you bring it home, you open the strategy guide at page 1, and you go from page 1 to the last page following the guide the entire time. If that's how you enjoy a game, then fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Me personally, I don't look at GameFAQs.com or buy a strategy guide unless I'm stuck. I'm also the kind of guy who doesn't do every side quest. There's people out there who want to do everything there is to do in a game, and the only way to do that is with a strategy guide. I don't see anything wrong with enjoying the game the way you enjoy it. If that means playing the game without a strategy guide and forcing yourself at every hard part to get through it on your own, then fine.
Well, it's also something besides the game, the actual design of the game, because there have been some puzzles in some games, rational thought does not solve the puzzle.
Metal Gear Solid was a good example.
Exactly.
I had to go to the internet to figure that one out. Actually, I revoked that statement because I believe after so many times it just told you to unplug your controller.
Oh, yes. I remember playing Psycho Mantis for a while, and I don't think I died. It eventually told me to change controller ports.
That's what I think it did. Just after such a period of time, it told you to do it.
The developers want to make horrendously difficult puzzles just because, they're sadistic freaks, or if they want to do stuff like you said, where if you try and you can't get it, they decide to implement something where they say, it looks like you're having a difficult time. How about you try this?
God of War does that. If you keep dying at a certain fight, it'll say, do you want to switch to easy mode?
But again, it gives you that option. It offers you the choice. It says, do you want to? You can say no. You don't have to do it. If you say no, then it's like, okay, you keep doing your thing and you keep trying.
You keep pulling your hair out and bashing your head into the wall.
At least it's giving you the option.
There you have it. Video Game Show episode number 36, or 6 squared, for May 4th, 2007.
Or 2 squared.
Oh, yes. Very nice. So, any ham sandwiches for the people of the world? Okay, I'll throw it out to our whole community. We should en masse give one whole big ham sandwich to the whole community. Because they've been a nice, supportive, and brave little bunch of people typing away every day.
I would like to give a ham sandwich out to a bunch of the forum guys, E5150, Content Cylon, Duff, Brigo. I've been playing a lot of games with them lately. It's actually cool. So, Keith, you need to get your Xbox fixed.
I'd like to give a Shattered Dream Pie to the quality control division of Xbox. Again, this is why I did not want to buy the Xbox right away. And I was assured from every which way that it's perfectly fine and perfectly good, and yet here I am in the exact situation that I was trying to avoid.
And as always, send your comments, questions, feedbacks, queries, or concerns to the mailbag at vgs@gamercastnetwork.com. Call us at 320-300-GAME. That is a standard long-distance call, and all normal fees apply. Or Skype us at Video Game Show. And I guess that's good night.
That's it.
All right then, peeps. You
See y'all
guys
next
have
week.
a pleasant evening.
I couldn't stand Kid Icarus because I sucked. I sucked so bad at it.
I'm still not great at it, but I still have fun with it.
It was just a really hard game. I remember reading a Nintendo Power Magazine Super Smash Brothers Brawl, and the fact that what the hell's the little fat angel's name?
What, Icarus?
I think his name is Icarus.
Yeah,
No,
Icarus.
Going out on a limb here.
You know, I got nothing. You're right, but for some reason I was thinking, oh yeah, what's the guy's name from Kid Icarus? He's got a name. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, the red fire engine. What color is that red fire truck? You know, it's big
All
and
right.
red and